Yo, so the opinions and views expressed in this podcast are that of our own and the future Bachelor podcast only, and not affiliated with any outside party or entity or anything like that. This fun podcast, though, may include some adult language.
Future Bachelor podcast.
But, enough of all that.
Enough of that.
Cuteness. And, why don't we talk about a big night or big week that we had for Bachelor Nation here, Oh, no, you don't have to be waiting anymore because it's that time to talk about The Bachelor on our show. Oh, my goodness. Yes, it don't matter if we push the wrong sound effect. You're here, and that's all that matters. But before we get talking about The Bachelor, YouTube, I need you to go ahead and subscribe, smash that thumbs up button, and hit that notification bell so you can get notified every time we drop new Bachelor content, just like this. And if you just did, oh man, for real, huge shout out to you. Ooh-wee, air horns for you. Oh man, I'm just really excited always about that intro because I just feel like, we're getting new subscribers every week. More and more people are in the comments section. So we got to go ahead and shout out our comments section. The Nancy Drew crew, what up? We got Catherine Ann, Chelsea Allen, Kathleen Kent, Marion SP, and we got some people returning in the comments section. I missed y'all. Mona Walters, where you been at? But thanks for coming back. And then also Beth Wenger. I hope I'm saying that right. She never corrected me, so I'm guessing I'm gonna keep going like that. But just let me know, Beth. I just want to, make sure I know my family. I just want to know my family, And then speaking of family, shout out to Marty, yo. Moms always get a little special shout out.
That was the best segue ever.
Thank you. So yeah, we're getting more and more people to be able to shout out here. If you're like, who are these people that are just getting shout outs every single week on this show? It's our very VIP, very important people, and you can be a very important person too. All you got to do is leave a comment. Yeah. V sometimes chimes in there in her own personal account, she makes it all very personal. So, just leave a comment. You get a shout out, subscribe to us. Let us know you subscribe. Shout out to all the new subscribers. Y'all are the best. And you'll get a shout out on the next episode, just like all our crew just did. But yeah, why don't we just hop right into it? We had a 2-night event this week with The Bachelor. We had hometowns on Monday, and then we had the Women Tell All on Tuesday. We literally just finished watching it, and we're recording it right now. So you're getting... There's probably literally right after. So we're going to be really on it. So hopefully we're one of those people on there giving you what you need. But V, where do we start with this week?
So night 1, we have our hometowns. And, I spoke too soon about us being done with the shower scenes because we got an extra long one. We really got in there with him, scrubbing himself. Dude, I don't need this.
For some reason, he wasn't even using soap. He's just rubbing water.
Rubbing himself. Just rubbing his oblique. I just need to know, do they literally have a producer and they're being like, okay, now go to the right and use, the left hand. What are we doing?
Just to he did mention it in the Women Tell All.
He did. He's I didn't realize I would have, so much shower. Come on.
Yeah, that was the edited version. They must have been with cameras every single time you were showering.
Yeah, so. I wonder how many of it's too much.
Yeah.
But we start, and we also do once again another recap rundown, but it's just Zach kind of talking it out over, little montages of each of his 4 women left, which once again, he says he's saying the same shit. It's just, I get if you were maybe a viewer who is trying to, I get why they do this. They do it for those viewers who are hopping in for these last several episodes of the season. But it's just.
we're at the point now where we can realize whether or not we've gotten a taste of Zach's personality, and I'm just gonna say I don't think we really have.
I don't think we have.
Yeah, he's just doing everything so by the book, and he's trying to be the perfect bachelor that he's just kind of overshooting, I feel like,
I agree. He's just so press trained that it just kind of,
which it doesn't make him a bad guy. It just makes him just I honestly trying too hard. I don't know. Would you consider him trying too hard or just?
I don't know. I wish there was a little bit more, because we do get his emotions, but I just wish there's a little bit more of that actually peeks through in a lot of this. And even when we get to the women tell all, I just felt like even some of his responses then also speak to this whole like really he's like trying too hard to come off so measured and like I'm someone who's really logical, but I don't even know if that's like what his goal is here. I don't know if he's just trying to like, you know, he's just trying to do things right.
Right. And it's almost like I always bring it back to acting, but like in acting, like if you're trying to do things right, you're performing, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
He's
people,
performing.
especially nowadays, they want the real. They want you to be as real as you can possibly be, even if that means like you're not going to look good sometimes, because most of the time you're not going to look good if you're like, you know, trying to, you know, do it right, you know?
Right.
And I think that's like, just like, not just acting, but in life. So, yeah, I mean, so we go into our first hometown. We're in Vermont.
We're with Gabby.
Yeah, the Green Mountains. Did you know Vermont meant that? I think that's what they
Verde,
mean.
that makes Green Mount. Yeah, that does make sense. Like Green Mount. Okay. I can see it.
Yeah, it's funny because like I feel like my mom's always like, I always learned something from you guys. Like she like the Budapest thing last week. I was just like, yeah. So, you know, look at us teaching people.
We're a show full of fun facts.
That's great. Yeah. So, yeah, and we get Gabby first. I mean, it seems to go pretty well.
They do some syrup tasting. Zach chooses the fake syrup as his favorite.
Before that, though, they're like
they're tapping a tree.
Dude.
They're tapping a tree, making a lot of innuendos. Very self-aware of the fact that, you know, if this conversation was like, if you weren't seeing what was happening, you know.
It sounded very vulgar.
And I feel like Gabby's like very much so like, oh my goodness, like she's been like self-censored herself like on other episodes being all like, excuse my language. So like I just feel like it felt especially funny with her being there.
Yeah, so like he has like a syrup tasting test and he picks the like store-bought syrup and
and she's upset. And she's like, really?
I mean, come on. They have the most sugar in there. Of course, it's going to taste the best.
Of course, it's going to taste good. But yeah, I mean,
I've also like, this is interesting. Let us know in the comments, like what you guys think and stuff. But to be honest, sometimes the maple syrup is just not the move. Like, you know, like it's too natural tasting.
Well, he talks later in the like after credits scene. He talks about like his weird thing with his parents is mustard on pancakes, which I feel like came up during either earlier in this season or during his season on The Bachelorette with like Rachel and stuff. But
so he's like, weird. I didn't tell you. Oh, it must have been one of my other girlfriends that I told.
Must have been. Yeah,
that's all. Literally, I was thinking.
Must have been one of my other girlfriends on national television.
I thought he was gonna say ketchup or something like that, which is something that like I've seen a kid do before. Like they would put ketchup on everything and like including pancakes and stuff.
Ew,
so
gross.
I mean, it's got to be better than mustard. I don't know.
I don't know. But I feel like in general, her date is pretty tame. They just do like the syrup shit and then they go and meet her family. So she's got her parents, her older brother, her younger brother, her sister who just was recently engaged. So there's definitely some weird sort of pressure there to be like, what if we planned a wedding at the same time? Wouldn't that be amazing? And like everybody looks the same. Like her whole family, like they look like carbon copies of each other. It's insanity. And we get one of, you know, the first round of Big Brothers asking, you know, what Zach's intentions are. But to be honest, he's probably the tamest. Well, maybe, I don't know. He's one of the tamer brothers. And her dad is like the softie out of everybody. So it seems like in general, things all go to plan.
Well, he tells the story of like him and meeting her mom. And how like they were married within like 2 months or something like that.
Something
right?
crazy. Like
was that
he
them?
knew. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it was them. But yeah, he's the one that cries, right?
Yeah, he's the one who cries.
See, this is what I hate about doing the 2 nights. I just like, I'm like, damn, am I like mixing up the girls' dates and stuff? But yeah, so he ends up like, you know, it was good. And Gabby's just really worried because she's the first one that he's going to forget about her. And which is fine. I don't think I've ever seen someone like kind of react like that before. But
I think this season has been the first for like a lot of things that are like very self-aware of how this show works, like timeline being the first, how that we've talked about it on our podcast before, how like, you know, there's definitely pros and cons of where you land in the lineup.
And now that you say it, like I think like not only like is that like something we've talked about before, but I think if I remember like a rumor that I was hearing, she was one of the girls that was reading that book of like how to win the Bachelor. And I wonder if they say something like that in there, being like the first hometown is not necessarily like good or something. Right. I don't know if that's in the book or not, but like if that is, like I could see her freaking out that she was picked first to go. And she's like, damn it. Like, you know, this just like statistically means that like I'm probably gonna get forgotten about because he's got 3 other dates like to go.
Right.
And they're big deals. They're not just regular dates. It's like family, you know? So, right. So yeah, you're right. It's like very like meta, in that sense. So, he ends up leaving and we get to date number 2 or hometown number 2.
We have Ariel in New York City, brother.
Ariel is looking fire.
She looks hot. She is a sex pistol. You know, I just think she's probably she's just like the sexiest one, I think, of this final 4. Like, I think all of them are beautiful in different ways. Like, I would say, like, Gabby's more, like, cute. I would say Kaity's more, like, pretty. I would say, like, Charity's more, like, beautiful. Like, you know, there's, like, kind of different level. And then, like, Ariel is sexy. She is, like, sexy.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And she is showing him the ropes. Like, you could tell this man, you know, has never dated a Jewish girl, I guess, because he is seemingly very unaware of just like general Jewish things, which
but it's
I just find
crazy
funny
because like she's like feeding him, like taking him all this. I'm like, this is my Jewish girlfriend, like, you know, like feeding me like literally with the fork and stuff. I'm just like, oh man, like you could live a good life, my friend. Just stop it right here. literally though. And like, you know, like taking him to the deli. I love how like when she explained what a speakeasy was and he was like, so like, he was like, what? Like, I was like, bro, have you never been like anywhere? Like, where have you been? Like, that's so funny. Yeah. So, I mean, she's just pretty much taking him to like from food to food. Like, you know, he got pizza. Like, I think that's like the best thing you could do. Right.
Right.
I mean, oh, wait, was it pizza with her?
They did the cow tongue. I don't know if they got pizza too. They probably did.
Yeah, they did. I think they did because
yeah,
I was like, this girl is like
York,
doing.
You have to get some pizza.
Yeah, if you bring them to get pizza, like that's just warming, like good stuff right there. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, that would be the way to your heart, obviously.
Well, it's funny that you say that because like we'll get to that part in the next hometown, but or the whatever one we get to. But yeah, I mean, she's just, you know, killing it. You know, but then there was like, you know, the foreshadowing of like, my brother is probably going to be the one that's going to be hardest to, he's like my protector. Like he like, you know, all that. So they get there and it's instantly like, whew, rough.
Yeah. Bobby takes his ass from the jump. He's all like, let's go. And he brings his, you know, his wife. So Ariel's sister-in-law, she pretty much just is sitting there to sit there. I don't even think she says anything that we see. And homie goes in. He's like, do you even know her middle name? Do you even know her birthday? Like, you know, and like Zach did try to go against it, being like, you know, obviously like the little details will come. Like we're here, like we're looking at big picture.
Which is real. But like at the same time, like all I'm thinking is like, dude, just ask these girls right away, like, when's your birthday? What's your favorite color? Like,
or
just
like right before, or at
what's
least
your middle name?
Yeah, like right before, like when you're on your, you know, when you're on the hometown date, being all like, you know, now that we're like in your element, I want to know like these things. Like this should be, yeah. I think there's a way to weave that.
What's your favorite color? Like all that stupid stuff, because it's like those are the stupid questions. Because if you're ready with rapid fire, it's like, it's Marie. It's she was born 1999. You know, her social security. You know, she's got a mole on her back of her back. You know, whatever
back
it is.
Back of her back.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's all I was thinking. I was just like, but it's real. Like, I mean, you don't have to know that stuff to like.
To be in love with somebody.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time you would get to know that type of stuff probably before you propose, but like, I'm just
in
like
this environment, I don't know if it's necessary, you know, like I'd rather use that time to know other like actual deep, meaningful things that make them either a good or not good match.
Yeah.
But he does, you know, he does make a very good point, which you could tell Zach didn't even think of this, was he's like, I know, like, you know, you have like other women that you could choose between, but ultimately Ariel has to choose you too. And like, why should she choose you? And Zach was dumbfounded.
He's like, yeah, that's a very good question. That's what you say right before, like,
That's
you don't know what you're gonna say.
A non-answer, yeah.
Yeah. What did he say? He was like, and I'm a good cook or something like that.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, I think, you know, I love with my whole heart. I'm a good cook. Like he like just kind of like he's like, I'm a sweet guy. Like family means everything to me. So like blah blah blah.
I have a big heart.
Yeah.
Like, whatever, dude. I understand. So, I mean, they're asking not just him the hard questions, but also her. But you know, she's just so like, just so well spoken.
Yeah, she's just
cool and
you
calm.
know, they ultimately end up like trusting her, and they're all like, you know, this is kind of like a crazy situation, but like also we trust you, and like we trust that, you know, you're gonna do the right thing, and also like obviously if anything bad happens, Bobby's gonna be coming and getting his ass. But
Yeah.
you know, I think they ultimately like come to terms with it. Ariel seems to like set them at ease a little bit, but I mean that's kind of all we really get from them. I don't feel like we get like a come to Jesus moment of them being like,
yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
we love Zach.
I could honestly just watch Ariel on my screen forever. So, yeah. So let's get to hometown number 3. Where are we at?
We're in Columbus, Georgia with Charity. It's funny because obviously they were filming these like probably late fall-ish. And, you know, in Georgia at that time when they went, it looks like nice as hell. Like it's nice. They're doing like an outdoor lunch. They've got her parents, her brother, and like 4 or 5 of her pals there. And, you know, Charity
I like the move of like meeting all the family first and just getting that out of the way.
Right. They pretty much just went, you know, kind of like did like a cute little Southern lunch. You could see they had the greens out. They had like,
and I always wondered why she talked like with her accent and stuff. I didn't really pull a Southern accent from it for some reason until like this episode where they were like, I'm from the South. And I was like, oh yeah, she just probably she got a Southern accent. She tries her hardest to not do it, but it just is.
She barely has an accent. I feel like a Georgia accent's different than like some of the other, like a Tennessee
she had like one of the strongest accents to me. I think I commented on most weeks where she would just say things like just so different than everybody else, like words like almost
I feel like some of the other women who have other Southern accents had more like obvious accents to me.
Yeah, but hers they came out in like the words, like she was like,
I get that.
You know, it was like, I don't know how to explain it. It was almost like she was trying to make up for the accent, and that's made her own original accent, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I wonder like if there's any, like, yeah, there's probably other maybe things that play.
And oh my God, her
well.
mom is beautiful. Like I thought it was like her older sister or something.
I thought it was her sister at first too. And then it was like, that's her mom.
Yeah.
And her brother also, you know, is pretty protective of her, kind of goes in a little bit, but he's a little bit tamer too. I mean, everybody is pretty much protective of the fact, and they all ask her, like, you know, have you prepared for if you get the answer you don't want? Like, have you prepared for heartbreak? Because, you know, we saw you so heartbroken by this bad situation before with this like cheater boyfriend, whatever. And I feel like that to me, like a lot of things were very much so leading up to a Bachelorette edit. Mm-hmm. I felt like in this and how they kind of framed the full view of like being all like, you know, that, and, you know, if she were to get turned down, or, you know, and her like, you know, struggling with the fact of wanting to tell him that she was falling in love with him, and then ultimately telling him that
she's
after
like, yeah, I'll just find my next boyfriend on the beach.
Right.
Yeah. Or even better, on the Batch. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I think it was a good move to like meet the family, get that out of the way, and all the pressure is gone, and you can actually like have a fun time together. So she brings them to like a country bar or something.
Yeah. Like a line dancing bar.
Yeah.
And so they do that, and that's when she tells him that, you know, she's falling in love with him, and
it's just sad to see because like as great as Charity is, as beautiful as she is, and as like she's another one that's just like really well put together, well spoken. That I just know that like he's not gonna pick her because like you just see the way he is. I mean, I don't know how to say it, but like it's just like Ariel and like Kaity and stuff are just what he's been into. I feel like
right, and you could tell he just feels like even when she's like I'm falling in love with you, you could tell like I know he can't really like give like a legit answer back usually in these situations, but like even the way he sort of played that off felt like
Mm-hmm.
But then we move along to our final hometown date. We have Kaity in Austin, Texas, and she pretty much takes him to run errands because she, I guess, recently moved there. And he also is, he lives there too.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
guess
obviously she's gonna get picked for this. Like, everything
they're
is
playing house.
Yeah, and not only that, but like, I mean, it's like he's already building things and stuff in her house. Like, it's like that's my house now. Like, and also the fact
they probably live close to each other too because he lives there.
Close enough, I'm sure. I mean, and then this is the date that like I was watching this morning. And my girl's like making breakfast and stuff. And she's like, oh, you would hate this date. I'm like, yeah, this is like my worst nightmare. Like straight up, like, first of all, taking me to go like grocery shopping. Like it's the worst. Like I don't even like doing it by myself. Like to go with someone else and they're just like, what are we going to get? I just like not my thing. And then you bring me home and I got to make things. Like I just want to chill on the couch and stuff. Like,
my God, you're so high maintenance.
This is the worst. I mean, if you're calling this a date, this is not like, my ideal day. So it was just funny. Just, I mean, I do all that stuff, but it's not like fun. So, so Kaity, he just loves looking at her. He loves being around her. He thinks she's so hot. And, it's just one of those things where you're like, damn, I got this girl. Like, I'll do anything, like, for her and stuff like that. And so,
yeah,
I totally get that. And he's doing it. So, and I mean, it's got to feel like really good to be like, this girl is everything that I want. I've already liked her so much since the beginning. And she lives now, like, she's new to my city. She barely knows anything. Like, this is perfect. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So, she kind of gets emotional because, she just like really looks up to her mom and she knows her mom's been through so much and like they've just been through so much together. And they go and meet up with her mom, her grandma, her brother. I think was it her aunt that was the other one that was there?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't remember. And they all have like pretty good combos, I would say. And like you could tell Kaity is really looking for her mom's approval of this relationship continuing because she kind of breaks down to her aunt being all like, I can't have like another man walk out on me. Like, all these men in my life have walked out on me and like I just can't have that again. And like she's starting to like kind of get in her feelings and worry that like, what if that happens? And I think she really wants to get her mom's perspective and approval pretty much so that she feels more comfortable moving forward with Zach, which, ultimately her mom does give her that after her talk with Zach. I feel like she went into it like pretty level-headed with Zach and being like, okay, like, this, that, or the other, and goes and talks with Kaity afterward and is like, he seems nice. He seems like he's checks all the boxes for you. And, I think
she did say something interesting though, that like made me want to know like the kind of people she dated before. She was like, he's not like the type of guy I would typically go for. You remember her saying that?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I like, what does that mean? Like, what I'm saying? Like,
well, sometimes damaged, unhealed people go for people that in general are going to reinforce how they think they're unlovable. So I think with her, if she wants to, or the narrative is all these men will continue to walk out on me because I've never been like enough for my dad or then another father figure in my life, she's going to go after men that are also going to be emotionally unavailable.
Yeah. I mean, that's very real because like, it just is like, I don't know, from viewers like myself who can see that she's like a beautiful woman. It's like, what kind of guy is just like finding this girl and being like deuces? Like, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, I guess that's everyone just dealing with these things in life. You know, past trauma that affects your future. But yeah, I mean, so essentially I think like it goes well. Like the mom is just like, yeah, I
approve pretty much. She gives the green light.
Yeah.
And Kaity also tells Zach that she's falling in love with him. So we've got 2 out of the 4 who tell him that they're falling in love with him.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty textbook. It's, you know, what you got to do on the hometowns to really make it and solidify yourself in the finals.
You would think.
Yeah.
You would think.
I mean, it's either then or before then, you know, that's just kind of.
They have a very. Zach is, you know, in his feelings trying to figure out what decision he's going to make. And he has a very mediocre advice session with Sean Lowe. I feel like everything Sean Lowe says is what he's said before on other previous things. I feel like he was there to collect a check. It just didn't. It was like, you know, and then I thought of Catherine, and she was one who I realized was my best friend. Like, it's like, I'm like, we heard this the past 2 times you've been on this show.
Not even just the past 2 times. It's like every time he talks.
Yeah, it's just, I'm like, this is ridiculous. So that to me was a waste of time. And and then we get to a rose ceremony, and I was really surprised that Ariel got the first rose and not Kaity.
Yeah, I mean, now that you say it, I mean, I'm not, like, she's hot as hell. Like,
I mean, I'm not inherently surprised, but I'm like, I just really thought it was going to go Kaity, Ariel, and then, like, I was waffling between if Charity or Gabby were going to get the rose, because I was, like, at one point, I was like, Gabby was first. Was that her foreshadowing that she's not going to make it? And I was like, Charity did say, like, that she was falling in love, but his reaction was not it. So, you know.
Yeah, I got to say that I think it was just a strategic move on his part, or the show producer's part, of saying her first, because it just seems like Katie's just too, like, it's too obvious.
Much the front runner.
Yeah, it's just too obvious. So it's like, well, who do you like? You know, we can't just keep giving Kaity like everything. Like, it's just one of those situations. If you've seen behind it, like, it's just like he already knows who he wants.
Right.
Like, you know, so, what I did notice, though, when Kaity got the second rose, she didn't seem too happy about it, actually.
Yeah, because I think she knows that she's the top choice.
Yeah, which is, I don't know. I don't know going into, I'm kind of excited about Sex Week, but
Sex Week.
We'll get into that a little bit more in a little while. But yeah, so he ends up picking Gabby over Charity, which, I mean, it is what it is.
He doesn't really have an answer for her then.
I mean, to me as a viewer, it just seems like it's pretty obvious. He has more chemistry with the other 3 girls.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing against Charity. It just is what it is. Like,
yeah.
You know, which, you know, she made it pretty far. I honestly, I mean, she's going to make it even further, but it's kind of weird, isn't it? Like, don't they have like some type of stats of how like the 4th runner up is usually like mostly picked to be the Bachelor if they are picking from?
Yeah. I'm sure Bachelor Data has something on that.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, spoiler alert. Yeah, so that's kind of how it ends. We got our final 3, and we're going into, they give us a little preview. We've seen this before, but we get a preview of Fantasy Suite Week, and Zach is now infamously called it Sex Week, which is really weird now. Every time like I kind of say it, it's like, what the hell? Like, who's ever called it that? Why are you saying it?
I know. And I mean, they really took that and ran with it, because he says it one time where he says to Jesse, he's like, I know this is like known for being like the sex week. He like pretty much like says it like that. And then they were all like, and we're running with it.
Well, good,
like,
because like no one's ever done it like that before.
I know. Well, and they even like, so we're like with Women Tell All in the audience, they have like some lady in a t-shirt that says Sex Week on it. So
I mean, that's just the producers handing out like posters,
like
and
whatever, like shit to do.
Yeah,
except they had Zach the Snack on one of them, but they spelled Zach wrong. He's a CH, not a CK. And I was all like,
you know what they should have brought back? The Zach balls. What are they? What were they called? The Zach balls?
Oh, the Balzacs.
The Balzacs. Why did they bring that back?
They honestly should have.
Like a jersey or something. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to your point that you said earlier about it being like meta, like very self-aware. Like, you know, they're kind of breaking the fourth wall by saying things like sex week and stuff, you know,
Right.
because we all know that. But that's what I'm saying is like very like, it's almost like the audience is now becoming, I mean, we've always like, they've always picked like, you know, people, but it's like the audience is now becoming, you know, on the show. Like, it's just like one big blurred line, you know? So it's very interesting. And also I think maybe the fact that Jesse Palmer's like kind of fresh there too. It's just all like very new waters for everyone. So these conversations will kind of tend to go that way. So yeah, I mean, so, you know, that's enough. We get into night 2, which is the Women Tell All. Where do we start with this?
So we see Zach and Jesse go to a bunch of different watch parties, one of which being a Delta Gamma house, like a sorority house watch party. And those girls were all up in his grill. They were like jumping on him, dancing with him, like having a ball.
This is a taken man.
I know.
And they're all over him.
To our knowledge.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure it's all good for him. You know, and it was funny. There's the one guy that's like, I put my girlfriend onto the show. I actually have like a little crush on Zach, like a little man crush.
I saw that.
Yeah. And then the moms, like they're going all out with like.
Yeah. The teacher moms, they all like, they had like, you know, the different, like
the brackets,
the different
they got
snacks,
the masks,
the champagne wall. They had a whole bit.
Yeah. So we get the introduction of the ladies, but there's notably a couple that are missing. I mean, I know they don't always have everyone, but like, why didn't they bring Brianna, man? Like, you know,
I feel like, I don't know, because they always don't bring some people, but I wonder if, you know, when they ask or if when stuff like goes down, especially like with Brianna or like whatever, I wonder if there's just like some people who either turn it down or I don't know, but I feel like we got into more drama than I thought we would. There was like some stuff unveiled that I didn't know.
I'm going to say like before we get talking about it that this wasn't too bad of a woman tell all. Like they kept the movement of it. I felt
it was going at a quick clip. I will say like I felt like they were moving along, trying to control the conversation.
It was really hard at first. All the women were like talking over each other.
They were yelling over each other. They definitely kind of cut some parts short, you know, to kind of get to the meat of it. But we go through and we watch some of the main drama, and you get the little inset camera going on people, and it's mostly on Brooklyn's face because she just has some of the best facial expressions the entire time. And I mean, they talk very briefly. They bring up the whole Christina Mandrell drama, and you know that I feel like that was pretty much squashed pretty quickly. They kind of switched their attack to night 1 girl Olivia, because like she's all like, I love Christina, I think she's bold and like blah blah blah, and everyone's like, girl, you were here for one night, you don't know a damn thing.
I know, but like it's really like you could create a good bond with someone from the group in night 1. And to just say that, like, it really did like show kind of like people like Kat's true colors.
Oh yeah,
like,
Kat was kind of bitchy the entire time.
Yeah, she was like, you were gone night 1. That's such an easy low blow. Like,
right.
But then on the flip side of that, we always get those night 1ers that are just trying to get their screen time.
That are always trying to say something, trying to stick up for somebody, trying to talk on a situation that they had no involvement with.
Yeah, and it's just like desperate and obvious, you know, but I did like the way what was her name? Mandrell? What's her name again?
Christina.
You know, she handled it like a G. Like as much as like she, you know, whatever, she kind of like was, I probably should have shut up more. I appreciate you guys for putting that out so I can just be a better human. And it just that type of attitude actually just shuts everyone up. Like,
I mean, it was good after. I mean, that was a good way to like kind of succinctly pack it up, because like,
she didn't say anything that we saw. So it's just like, you know, everyone else is yelling about her and all this different stuff.
Well, I mean, after she's like, I've never been told that I make people uncomfortable, which I'm like, oh my God, like, okay. But But yeah, I thought she like kind of shut that down pretty quick. They kind of try to like use Brooklyn as the bouncer offer of these different things, because then she was the one, who had a lot to say to Christina, and then also had a lot to say to Kat during both of those situations, which both like took away from Charity, because like both of those girls took away a moment from Charity. So, and she definitely admitted to having maybe a harsher delivery, but Kat like also wasn't really backing down from how, she was surprised at people's reaction to her doing what she did, which I thought some of the other women were bringing in good points, that it takes two to tango, that Zach shouldn't have reciprocated or kissed her either. But I feel like we didn't really get to talk about that. And I wish they let Charity talk a little bit more on both of those situations, because like they barely let her talk on either of those situations.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Charity didn't want to talk, like, honest. She looked like she didn't want to talk then in the moment, and also like in now. I mean, she has thoughts. I'm not saying she doesn't have her own thoughts about it, because I think I saw a little bit of that in the show when it was going down. Like she was saying things about how Kat was like kind of messed up for it. But yeah, I mean, the girls were doing enough talking that it's just like,
she's like, let them dig their own fucking grave.
Exactly. That's how you become the Bachelorette. Like, you know what I'm saying? You just don't like get in the muck of everything else and stuff. You just kind of, she already had, they were pretty much propping her up from the beginning, right. Like, I think she was the first person to talk actually on the show. So yeah, so we get that. What comes next?
We get into more of the stuff between Stas and Kylie. And you could tell, I forget, what is Victoria is the other like influencer girl. She, is trying to bring up how she has receipts of like Stas like claiming, how she was going there for clout and like for whatever, and people are like, didn't you have a boyfriend during filming? Like, who was watching your dog during this thing? And she denies that, being as like, this happened after I was off the show and whatever. Like, I
don't believe her, but I don't believe her either. I think it's one of those situations where like everyone's hooking up with someone. These are all hot women. Like, they don't got guys like in their lives that they're like hooking up with and stuff. Give me a break. And then they get an opportunity to go on a show. Like, you're not just cutting things off. Like, so I understand that. But
right.
But I mean, obviously, a lot of these women just like didn't like her for whatever reason. And I still like her, actually. Like,
I'm okay with her. I feel like her and Kylie squashed their beef. I feel like they were able to get across that. And I mean, Kylie was able to like actually accept a full apology from Stas. And, they talked that out. They figured it out.
They brought up the fact. I mean, now we're getting into a little bit of the racial stuff that like happens on the show.
Right.
That, Jesse will say later on in the show how they
do a bad job.
Yeah, they just did a bad job. I forgot what his wording was. Like,
he said, our franchise in the past has done a bad job handling issues when they arise, so we're trying to stay on top of it. Something to that degree.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously something that they've like taken audience feedback, because I mean, it hasn't tapped into that yet in this episode, but like this is where they're allowing the women, of color to kind of let them know about microaggressions. And
yeah, Genevieve kind of talks to them about how like, her saying that Kylie was being aggressive just ties into like women of color being depicted as like aggressive and mean and like, the angry black woman and that whole thing. And, I think Stas does, takes that in. She's like, okay, like I definitely realize like how that is harmful, and that, me going around and making this big deal and saying this is also like doesn't really help, with that kind of narrative.
Although like Kylie kind of says at the end, like, yeah, I just wanted to be known that like when you were saying that though, like apologizing to me in person, it felt more of like it was coming from like you're scared of what it's going to do to your life, like the repercussions and stuff. And I don't know. I think again, Anastasia handled it, the best you can when you're kind of getting it from all angles, like,
Yeah.
So from there, where do we go?
We have several hot seats. We start with Jess, which to me honestly felt weird that she got a whole hot seat because I just feel like their breakup was so confusing, and I feel like we don't really honestly get that much more clarity about it. We'd get, because later when he comes out, he pretty much is just like, I was confused too. And, when you left and like whatever, I obviously then I realized like the gravity of the whole situation. And like,
to me, it was just a big miscommunication.
Right.
And, she's using her moment, she stood out for the glitter, the body glitter, and also the fact that she like stood up for herself. And that was like, what she was going on,
Which, good for her,
Yeah. I mean,
stay shining, girly, but, I feel like that was that.
Yep.
We get Greer next. She gets pretty emotional. She obviously still says that she understands why she had to go home, but, she just wished that they would have had more time. And I feel like that's kind of a miss on production. They just I feel like there could have been ways to give her that, like, without like totally like, shooting her in the leg, because she did go from being like first impression rose to then being like dumped in a hotel room.
Yeah, she's a beautiful girl. But that can only go so far because there's other beautiful women and you're just clicking with other people. So maybe just early on, people just weren't, like she said it herself, we're just not each other's person. So, which,
yeah, I'm happy they got to that. And then they brought up her whole, how she was kind of like a blackface apologist, and how that all came out like right as the season started airing, with, former high school classmate, and how she tweeted like supporting them and like whatever. And so she kind of fesses up to how like her Instagram apology from like the beginning of the season, pretty much excused racist behavior. And like she calls herself out, which I thought was great to see. And then they bring in this Dr. Kira Banks from SLU, St. Louis University, who like I guess talked with Greer, and like they had a whole thing, and they talk about the history of blackface. And I guess she also met with Jesse, and they learned more.
Like, how is this so hard to do? Like, why are we just doing this? Like, I mean, good that we're doing it now, but this is like what they've been talking about for like,
that's like 5 years.
Yeah. And it's like simple HR. Like, you know what I'm saying? Training.
It comes down to, they don't have enough, they don't have, I'm sure they just now are getting like DE&I, like that kind of like stuff on the like production side. It's just, it comes down to how the show and who is at the top. So, I mean,
yeah. Well, that's good for them for finally getting on board. I don't know. It just seems very interesting, but I digress. So that was kind of like a very heated moment on the show. I do got to give it to them for taking responsibility for past actions of the franchise.
Right.
At least, I mean, it's a big deal. Like, they literally lost the host of the show because of things like this. So,
right.
And, yeah. So anyways, we move into what?
Kat was on the hot seat. Jesse twists the knife with her, pretty much saying how he really thought for a while that she was going to be the one at the altar with the ring. And I feel like the most we get out of their conversation is that, she had shared with Zach how her and her mom don't really have a relationship. And she said because of the show, her family all came together, and now she really has a relationship with her mom, which, like, kudos to her. So, I mean, good things, I guess, come out of being on national television. But
then we get Charity in the hot seat, which is just more...
Definitely just boosting up the Bachelorette edit. They pull the audience asking, like, if they thought she was going to win, Definitely Jesse like hints at like, I wish you the best with your future. I know there's good things coming your way kind of talk. So
now I know Charity's the best, but like, was it really like, I mean, I don't know. Like, was she like literally a fan favorite? Like they're saying she is?
I mean, I think she's a fan favorite. I think because she was like a victim of multiple instances of some of the girls like trying to take her moment, I think people were rooting for her through different things. So I think, she was definitely a fan favorite in that aspect that, she was at, the odds with some of the meaner girl moments.
Well said. And then we get bloopers.
We get plenty of bloopers of just the women, you know.
I do like what they did this time with bloopers. Like they took like full scenes. Like it wasn't just like a bunch of like stupid shit like clipped up together, you know?
Right. They did full scenes teaching each other how to twerk, them practicing to kiss, which felt a little queer-baity to me.
I mean, have you ever seen what movie is it? Is it Cruel Intentions?
Yeah.
That's kind of like where that scene reminded me of. But except they actually kiss in that. But like Sarah Michelle Gellar, you know, Sarah's with 3 names. She ends up teaching a girl how to kiss and stuff, and it just reminded me of that movie. Yeah, I thought they were gonna actually kiss. I was like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah, it felt a little off to me.
But like, what's her name? She wasn't even.
Allie and Stas.
Was Allie at the show?
Yeah, Allie was there.
Oh, she was? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, what, has she never kissed before or something?
No, I don't know if I think that felt like felt like a setup. That felt like a very obvious setup. Like just with the googly eyes on the orange. Like, where did they get the googly eyes?
All right. So yeah, we do that. They do the tortilla TikTok challenge and slap each other. That's always fun to watch.
That is always fun to watch. I thought that was fun.
Because you could actually slap someone, like slap the shit out of them with a tortilla. And a lot of people were going at it. And always it's like people laugh. It's just like you're getting slapped with a tortilla. It doesn't even matter how hard it is.
It's so funny.
Everyone
it's just
always
a funny
laughs.
thing.
So yeah, Zach gets all nervous, getting up in the hot seat. Next.
Yeah, he's nervous. They pretty much, you know, they talk to Kat, Charity, and Jess, and just like some of the other women. And I feel like for Kat and Charity, he pretty much tells them almost the exact same thing about being like, you know, like I had to make a decision. There wasn't an instance or moment. I just, you know, it was hard. It really hit hard on me, but you know, whatever. And it's
essentially
funny.
He was saying like, I'm making decisions that I can go to sleep with at night.
Yeah. Which I'm like, okay. And like even Jesse's like, I hope this is all helping you girls. Like, and I'm like, what is this? This is not really giving much to any of them. It's like,
I mean, it really shouldn't actually.
Yeah, I guess.
I never think like people should get closure from this show. It's like, come on.
I guess. Him and Jess do their thing, and like, you know, she jokes about her sparkles at the end and how they, you know, they pretty much said similar things of being like, yeah, you know, I think we weren't connecting, and you know, I was frustrated with how it ended, whatever. They do more bloopers. And they really are ragging on him for the whole sex week bit, and we get a preview of said sex week, and it looks like, you know, he's really trying to stay true to this no sex during fantasy suites, but it looks like he's gonna be tempted by somebody and have to tell either one or two other ladies that happened. And it looks like Gabby's the one that's upset. I mean, it looks like everybody's upset, but it looks like Gabby's the one who is like upset that he probably fucked somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, this is what happens though. I think it's probably the order. So he probably doesn't have sex the first night, then he has sex the second night, and then it's like, I'm supposed to have a date with you after you just had sex with somebody.
Right.
You know, I don't know. Maybe that's my prediction. But obviously he didn't have sex with Gabby. So, yeah. I mean, this is just like, this is what what we were talking about earlier about how trying to be like right and perfect. It's just like,
gets you into trouble, because if that's, because I'm guessing he sets kind of like those expectations. I'm guessing he talks to somebody or talks to each of them saying, you know, sets those expectations. And then if you can't follow through, don't make promises you can't keep.
I mean, it really is though. Like, I don't know, like, can you have sex with people and it be okay without telling them?
It's such a strange, the show is such a strange thing, because like outside of it, like there's no other situation where literally like days before your engagement, well, I guess there's some people who maybe do it this way, but like, you know, days before your engagement, you are like, you know, knowingly fucking other people. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like a strange.
But I'm just saying, like, in the show,
like just in the glossed over.
Yeah, but in the show, yeah, exactly. In the show, we've seen people have sex with multiple of the contestants and it just be okay.
Right. It's kind of accepted. It's expected and accepted.
Yeah. So, but then we've seen in the last couple seasons where like the guys just feel like, I got to tell them now, otherwise they're going to find out afterwards, like maybe through the edit, and then they're going to break up with me because I didn't tell them the truth or something like that.
Right.
Which I don't know. I don't know which one's worse, like to get broken up on the show or to get broken up with after the show.
I just feel like, you know, it hasn't been until recently where, you know, because they did do the things in past seasons, like a couple years back, where they all were in the same room, so they would come back and be like, yeah, well, and like they're not doing that. I don't think they haven't done that recently, like super recently, but I feel like that sort of set the stage to like starting these kinds of conversations more, where I feel like in the past you just like went into it knowing that he could have fucked somebody else before you or not, and like that's just kind of like what you have to deal with. And I feel like people wouldn't like be
because there was other contestants like Maddie Pruitt who are just like, no, you had sex with someone else, definitely not, like, you know, ever.
Right.
And I don't know. I think I gotta be more on the line of like, you've already gone this far down the road. Like it is what it is. Like you kind of have to keep it all separate until it's not anymore, you know?
right.
So, so yeah, I am actually very interested to see how this goes. You know, I wonder if he'll face any backlash. Most of the time they don't, if they're like truly happy in whatever relationship they end up with and stuff. So we'll have to see how that ends up happening. And then we'll have After the Rose, and we'll get to see about how that all goes down. They bring back the women, right? Like for the After the Rose, like what do they do usually? Right? They bring back the women, I feel like.
Not all of them, I feel like.
What do they so After the Rose, do they do that while doing the last episode?
Yeah, usually, because it's like a live audience watching, and then they bring out, you know,
the final women.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how many more weeks do we think we got?
I think like probably like 1 or 2.
1 or 2.
I guess 2. Probably 2.
Well, that's exciting. They end the show with the announcement that Charity is going to be the next Bachelorette.
Yep.
I mean, I kind of knew that last week. That was kind of what I was alluding to. But
I mean, I kind of guessed it.
Yeah.
Because
I think they preemptively announced it because it was out there.
Yeah.
There's no point in like saving it for when. Like this is probably the best time to announce it.
After. I feel like they would save it for after the final rose.
Sometimes
usually.
they announce it like not even on a show. Like they'll just pick them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it'll be good to see Charity on our screens for Bachelorette. I'm excited for that one. I think she'll be another great, you know, lead.
I think she'll be great.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I don't know, like it'll be interesting. I can't wait to see how her season goes.
Right.
So yeah, that's, you know, all we got for what week is this?
8.
Week 8 of The Bachelor, Women Tell All. Anything else going on in Bachelor Nation that we need to talk about?
Yes. Bachelor Nation alum Ivan Hall is engaged to his girlfriend Taylor Robertson, which I'm pretty sure this was like the girl that he used to date and then went back to. You know, they've known each other for a long time, keep finding their way back to each other. And he proposed to her in downtown Dallas this past weekend and also gave her a Tesla.
It's the way to do it.
And the photographer for the whole proposal engagement was Susie. So
was it really?
Yeah, keep it in the fam.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's all kind of corny to me. I don't know why.
the videographer was Susie. Seems weird.
I don't know. I don't know about these like photo shoots and like grand gestures like for, I don't know. Obviously it's for like social media, right? I
mean, yeah, obviously.
Oh man. Well, congratulations to them. And his fiance for getting a Tesla.
Yeah, must be nice.
Well, you guys stick around. We'll be giving some more thoughts on next week's episode. And, make sure to leave a comment. What do you think? Would you want a Tesla when you got proposed to? Let us know in the comments. What do you think? Do you like Charity as the next Bachelorette? I mean, what is there not to like, really? I mean, was there some...
She's beautiful.
Yeah.
She's the most pretty crier I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Who do you think? Who did you want to be the next Bachelorette? Who do you think would have been a good Bachelorette pick? I would like to know what you guys think. Did you enjoy the Women Tell All episode? Who was your favorite hometown? Let us know in the comments. I'm giving you guys suggestions so you can just get shouted out next episode. Just leave a comment.
Yeah, we want to shout you out.
Yeah. And just subscribe, and shout out to you if you just did that, because so cool. All right, guys, we'll see you next week with Weekend.